Law Warrior Solaris. Solaris City. Overview. The crown jewel of the Solaris circuit seems on first glance to be a grey and gloomy place. Near constant rain keeps the streets slick and the air damp. The sluggish expanse of the Solaris River varies between swamp and sewer. Vast slums surround the city, which is also the centre of planet-wide criminal activity. But Solaris City is much more than this. It is the home of the 5 open-class arenas, as well as the 5 district sectors that support them. The open battle class are the most lucrative but the most deadly of the mech contests. Fortune and fame come and go with the predictability of the daily rainstorms. Home to near 3 million, Solaris City is the focus of hopes and dreams throughout the Inner Sphere. The aspiring mech warriors who come to Solaris City do not see the incessant rain, the filthy river, or the grinding poverty. For them, the potent allure of fortune and glory blots out all else. Government. Solaris City is divided into separately administered sectors, each roughly corresponding to one of the great houses of the Inner Sphere. In the sprawling slums beyond the city proper, the smaller states, the periphery realms, the bandit kingdoms, and even the remnants of the Free Razelhag Republic maintain their own zones in imitation of the larger ones. Each major sector has a distinctive character. Interestingly enough, the sector's prominence and relative importance does not correspond to the political position or strength of its successor state. House Lao, long the sick man of the Inner Sphere, maintains Cathay, unquestionably the wealthiest and most beautiful quarter of Solaris City. House Davian's Black Hills, on the other hand, is mostly a run-down slum, rife with crime and corruption. Each sector has its own central government, which sends representatives to monthly civic council meetings to determine policy for city-wide issues. This system, which requires 5 separate sets of civil laws, 6 separate police forces, and a wild variety of currencies, is inefficient in the extreme, but has become an entrenched part of Solaris, growing larger and more complex, and taking on a malevolent life of its own. Far beyond the ability of authorities to control it, Solaris City is like a world unto itself, set apart from the Inner Sphere, yet a vital part of society and popular culture nonetheless. Whatever the official pose, the elected representatives who administrate the sectors of the impotent Civic Council do not hold real power. The Solaris Games clothe and feed the people of Solaris VII and maintain the wealth of their leaders. Because mech stable masters and game promoters wield so much actual power, they have a stranglehold on the economy. These individuals have more power over Solaris VII than any other authority, and one of their major priorities is maintenance of the city's decentralized government, which assures their continued control. Currencies. As might be suspected, Solaris is an economist's nightmare. With no less than 7 separate currencies, the Comstar C-bill, valued throughout the Inner Sphere for its stability, is the most desirable currency, but usually only tourists and wealthy Solarans have them to spend. House bills, referred to by the initial of their respective successor houses, S-bills, D-bills, and so forth, are the next most valuable, though acceptance of a H-bill is only guaranteed by the appropriate quarter. Since the merger of the Lyran Commonwealth and the Federated Sons, S-bills and D-bills have theoretically equal value, and both are accepted in the Black Hills and Silesia quarters. In practice, nationalism remains strong, and Steiner or Davian merchants often refuse to accept the other's bills. The small Hasek-Davian community in the Black Hills does its best to encourage such behaviour, and friction between the two supposedly related houses is mirrored in Solaris City. At the bottom of the ladder is Solaris Scrip, considered virtually worthless. Scrip is accepted only by those who have no choice: the poor, the homeless, and the working poor. The rate of exchange between H-bills fluctuates somewhat, but the value of Scrip varies the most, as the table below will show. Scrip's value is theoretically based on the Comstar C-bill. Unfortunately, this value is not officially fixed, leading to runaway speculation in which wealthy Solarans and crime syndicates manipulate Scrip's value by buying, then selling large amounts of it. The practical result of this is a wildly fluctuating value varying from week to week, with a Scrip bill being worth anywhere from 100% of its full C-bill value all the way down to 1% of a single C-bill. Law and Order. A city with no less than 6 major administrative areas is a law enforcement nightmare. but Solaris City has gradually developed a complex but effective system of law enforcement. Each sector maintains its own law enforcement group, a police force whose authority extends throughout the appropriate zone. This authority varies from sector to sector, however. Kurita Police and Kobe, for example, have far more authority than the security forces of Silesia or the Black Hills. International areas are the realm of the Solaris Police Department, which also has authority over those who cross sector borders to escape prosecution. Solaris Police may, theoretically, move throughout the city, but sector security forces often resent their presence, which creates considerable friction between the two. Crime. As daily life on Solaris revolves around the games, most major social ills are also related to the competitions. Gambling is both a cause and a symptom, leaving few Solarans untouched. Legal gambling reduces the common people to a state of semi-penury, and drives the poor to criminal acts such as robbery, prostitution, drug dealing, and murder for hire. Ground down by daily life, many turn to alcohol or narcotics in a self-perpetuating cycle of degradation. None of this concerns the ruling elite of Solaris, the nobles, stable masters, and wealthy mech warriors, who are the only real winners from the exchange of wealth that takes place in betting. Police actions mostly consist of containment action or sweeps of high-crime areas whenever the city's powerful suddenly get a little nervous. Though some privileged Solarans do not condone the sorry situation of the common people, few are inclined to make any move to change it. The billions of C-bills that change hands each year from gambling and crime have attracted all the major criminal groups of the Inner Sphere. These various organized crime syndicates maintain near complete control of serious crime on Solaris today. The games. Solaran culture revolves around the games. The economy is driven by these contests. Entertainment centers on them, and conversations seem always to turn to them. On Solaris, one may make a fortune 1 hour, only to lose it the next. Compulsive gambling, along with its attendant woes of drug abuse, crime and alcoholism, runs rampant throughout the world, but it's most prevalent in Solaris City. Even the lowliest cab driver or janitor on Solaris City may have a tale of winning an incredible sum one day, which then slipped through his fingers the next. Betting terminals are sprinkled throughout the city, always functional and in good repair even in the poorest of districts. The game's form, or odds sheet, is the holiest of texts, read more widely than the Bible, the Quran, or any other sacred book. The latest fight is always on everyone's lips, and people know the records of their favourite mech warriors backward and forward. Solaris is a crucible, and the dispossessed or impoverished mech warriors who come to this world to seek their fortune feel the heat more than anyone. Hundreds of such hopefuls arrive on Solaris daily. Some die, some leave dead broke but alive. Some have pyrotechnic moments of prominence, only to vanish in the same flash, while a few, a very few, make it to the top. The cult of the mech warrior exists with a vengeance on Solaris. Books, movies, Holovid series, posters, magazines, newspapers, all these and more are devoted to the tiny minority of mech warriors who reach the top. Media programs feature promising young warriors who grant interviews like ancient royalty granting audiences. Images of mech warriors and their mechs are also popular, as are biographies and lurid fiction. Without question, Solaris VII is the centre of the Inner Sphere's obsession with the romance of its mech warriors. A few other industries do still exist. Some outlying communities harvest timber or engage in some farming, for example, but even these boast their own battle mech arenas and sponsor Class 1 or even 2 competitions. Gambling. In the early days of the Solaris games, betting was informal. As time passed, the underworld became more and more involved, and elements of triad gangs, the yakuza, bloods, and other criminal groups gradually gained more influence. Bookies got rich or went broke, chronic bettors borrowed fortunes from loan sharks for a long-shot payoff, enforcers collected money or fixed fights, gang lords raked in the profits, and bullet-riddled members of every group were daily found floating in the river. The advent of formalised rules for mech competition was intended to eliminate these abuses, but the only effect was to drive it underground. Bookies continued to offer better odds than the official ratings, and loan sharks continued to happily extend credit. Far from decreasing the number of bodies floating in the river, they doubled within 10 years. Many of the betting conventions were considered, at best, unconventional. The tradition of betting on mechs rather than their pilots caused considerable controversy, especially during the Fourth Succession War, when a string of low-grade mech warriors were replaced by experienced ringers at the last minute, resulting in some lopsided victories and massive losses. The mech versus mech betting system remained in place more because of tradition, more for any other reason. In the wake of the abuses of the 3030s, the game's promoters instituted a new system. They created current odds by combining the relative experience and reputation of mech warriors with the size and effectiveness of their mechs in a complex equation. This might produce a green pilot and a shogun, for example, sorely challenged by a veteran and a less powerful Ostol, with the odds favouring the Ostol pilot. Straight mech versus mech betting still exists, but it's far less popular than it was before. Official betting terminals are located throughout the city. Odds for daily matches are updated continuously, and may even change while someone is in the process of betting. Ticket sellers accept C-bills, debit cards, or Solaris scrip, although the exchange rate may fluctuate so radically that even the most profitable bet would become worthless before a match is finished. The terminals dispense tickets with bets and amounts printed on them along with a specially coded magnetic strip. Winners may cash in their tickets at readily available official exchanges. Numerous terminals and exchanges are scattered about both the arenas and throughout the city. Almost every small town also has at least one of each, often at the same location. All link up to the central computer exchange in Solaris City, which offers odds on every official match on the planet, down to the most obscure exoskeleton match in East Nowhere. As mentioned, the underworld is deeply involved in gambling. Illegal bookies offer far more generous odds on battles and will pay high prices, even for losing tickets for use in forgery. Fake tickets are common, but only the best imitations can pass official scrutiny, which employs specially designed code readers. The secret of Solaris gambling is that no one ever gets ahead. Only the promoters, stable masters, and occasionally mech warriors have any chance of finding riches in this brutal environment, a world that swallows ordinary men and women whole.